Okay, but I'll leave this.
Yeah, and I'll just leave this gavel because I'm supposed to hold it.
I guess just from the pipeline, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think it's better than the top.
I didn't even put him.
Jigo
Luhan?
clear.
Yeah.
Because John said he wasn't going to show up.
Yeah, that's why I didn't
Yeah.
put his name in.
I haven't
Are we good, John? Sorry, I adjusted it to me. I forgot to put it up for you.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to get started in a couple minutes.
I'm gonna turn, but sometimes it
Anything else that you're looking forward to in the next couple of years, Ted? You want to share this?
I just don't get it.
All right.
Yes.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us this morning for the 11th Oath of Office ceremony for the Consolidated Commission on Utilities. I was informed this morning, although it's not something that I was familiar with, that this marks the 20th year of governance of the utilities by the CCU. So almost an anniversary, but we do want to thank the commissioners for their service and for 20 years of progress. Before we get started, I would like to recognize our island dignitaries and distinguished guests. Please join me in welcoming Lieutenant Governor, the Honorable Joshua F. Tenorio. Chief Justice F. Philip Carbolito. Honorable Senators of the Guam Legislature, we have Senator Thomas J. Fisher. And I believe we have representatives of Senator Lujan and also Senator Amanda Shaw. President of the Mayor's Council, the Honorable Jesse Alec. From our military, Major General Esther Agagi, Adjutant General of the Guam National Guard. Rear Admiral Benjamin Nicholson, Commander, Joint Region Marianas. And Captain Troy Brown, Commanding Officer, NAVFAC Engineering. Also would like to honor the Mayor of Manila, the Honorable Alan Ngakta. Our Attorney General, the Honorable Douglas B. Moylan. And some distinguished guests, Dr. Ross Miller, Interim Director, and Dr. Nate Habana from the Water and Environmental Research Institute at Lincoln. I'd like to request that the audience please stand for the national anthem, the Guam hymn, and the Inifres.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Kantangatunan yagi todu ilugan Parai honra, parai gloria, abibai islas semparat. Parai honra, parai gloria, abibai islas semparat. Todo y tiempo y paz para kita, zangenilang na bendición. Contra peligro navan sa fuam, Zeus protegi Island Guam. Contra peligro navan sa fuam, Zeus protegi Island Guam. Ini fresi. Ini mastakilo ki hinasoko, imastakalum ki coraçonhu, zanimas figo na ninasinyahu, o oferecem mais azul, para brai proteger, zan defendi, e renengi, e cultura, e linguagem, e aires, e hanum, tentano tomorrow. Niren shako diretso gininazu starta. Esti hua fitma gihilu i Biblia, zani banderahu, i banderan wahan. Biba. Biba.
You. And I'd like to call up the GPA General Manager to provide some welcoming remarks. John Benedict.
Bananas Jesus, good morning and happy day to our honored and distinguished guests. Half a day. I wasn't expecting that. That was very nice. Chief Justice Carboledo, Lieutenant Governor Tenorio, our GW Oversight Senator Perez, thank you for joining us. GPA Oversight Senator Parkinson, Senator Fisher, the representatives of Senator Lujan, and also Shelton, correct? Mayor Talig, Mayor Angote. Major General Hagigi, half a day. Admiral Nicholson, half a day. The Captain Brown, Lulu, Mrs. Lumtialco, Nikki, Lou, family and friends, and of course, staff, management, and employees of PWA and fellow ratepayers. Half a day and welcome to the 11th inaugural ceremony of the Consolidated Commission on Utilities. This year marks the beginning of the 21st year of the Consolidated Commission on Utilities governance of the island power, water, and wastewater facilities. Additionally, this year, Warm Water Work celebrates its 26th year, and GPA its 55th year as an autonomous entity responsible for our island's critical infrastructure. I note this to signify the maturity of our utilities in providing services to sustain the island's economy, safety, security, and quality of our life in our community. Over the first 20 years of governance, some, and I know some because I could spend hours on this subject, but they only gave me a few minutes to do this. Some notable accomplishments, no? Establishing the GWA Master Plan and GPA Integrated Resource Plan, also known as GPA's Clean Energy Master Plan, with periodic updates to identify projects necessary to improve reliability and cut costs to our ratepayers. Investing over $1 billion to upgrade the GWA system to provide reliable and safe drinking water, and to ensure the environmentally friendly discharge of wastewater into our ocean compliant with US EPA rules and regulations. These projects include constructing several new wastewater treatment facilities and replacing decades-old water tanks with new concrete ones. Authorizing GPA to enter the consent decree with US EPA to avoid huge penalties, and finally, after 60 years of burning dirty fuel, to burn only fuel compliant with US EPA regulations, resulting in safe and clean air for the island, and most especially those in PD, Nimitz Hill, Cabras, and Naval Station, all burning clean, ultra-low sulfur diesel, low sulfur diesel, no sulfur RFO today. We approved contracts and programs for renewables as a hedge against costly and volatile fuel prices, resulting in about 16% of our energy today being generated by renewables. Approved the construction of a highly efficient 198 megawatt power plant, which will work well with more renewables and substantially reduce fuel oil imports, resulting in huge cost savings for our ratepayers. This plan, coupled with our ongoing renewable program, will result in substantial rate relief for ratepayers in 2025. And excuse me, welcome Public Auditor BJ Bruce. Establish policies which ensure that Guam Power Authority and Guam Waterworks Authority work together, coexisted, and implemented similar systems and technologies, including financial and billing systems, cybersecurity, customer service policies, and etc. No? Continued the training of the next generation workforce to address the issue that over 50% of the existing utilities workforce will be eligible for retirement in the next 5 to 10 years. No? Improve the resiliency of the GPA-WA infrastructure against storms and other natural disasters to ensure quick, effective, and efficient recovery should one occur. And the list goes on and on, but I will stop from that there. No? While substantially improving Improvements have been accomplished thus far. Now, the beginning of the CCU 21st year provides opportunities for significant policy decisions to positively impact the reliability and the cost of our services for generations to come. Decisions on the continued investment into the water infrastructure to replace aged water piping delivery systems and prepare the water infrastructure for decades to come. Cost savings will be achieved through inherent reductions of line losses. Awarding at least 400 megawatts of renewable contracts to achieve 40% renewables by 2027 and 50% by 2030, as we strive for 100% energy sustainability by 2045. Completing the Ukudu Power Plant in order to provide substantial financial relief to our ratepayers by making rates affordable on a sustainable basis. This plan, coupled with renewables, will significantly move us towards this goal within the next few years. We import about 2.7 million barrels of oil a year today. Imagine in the next few years, within this decade, that will be reduced to about 1 million barrels only. And that is too much, no? The GPWA has been fortunate having the elected CCU over these past 20 years. They have all contributed in one way or another in bringing GPWA to where it is today. The elected commission governance has been effective and efficient. The Commission has continued to raise the bar on improvements of our vital services, both in the infrastructure and customer service. And boy, do Miguel and I know that. So we welcome and congratulate Commissioners Sanchez, Santos, Lintiaco on their re-election and thank them for committing their service to GPWA again for at least another 4 years. Today signals the 21st year of service for Commissioner Sanchez, the 9th year for Commissioner Santos, and the 5th year for Commissioner Lintiaco. Thank you also Chairman Duenas and Chairman and Commissioner Peter Roy Martinez for your continued service for our ratepayers. Certainly not least, we would also like to thank the families of our commissioners for their sacrifices in their support of their work and public service. So on behalf of GWA, GM Miguel, and myself, our staff and management, and our over 800 employees of GPWA and their families, we would like to welcome our commissioners-elect and to thank you for stepping up to lead our critical utility organization, which works very hard each day to provide the vital service we are entrusted with our community. We are an isolated community surrounded by vast distances of ocean, which makes us have to work extra hard and be the best in our duties. The CCU support and leadership contribute significantly towards GPWA achieving its mission. So thank you, and Dankulus Jesus Maase on behalf of all of us.
Thank you, John. Listening to that, it kind of reminds me why I love my job. I would like to now welcome Chief Justice Carvalito to the podium to begin the proceedings by calling this meeting forward.
Buenas and half a day, and thank you, Miguel and John. It's always a pleasure, honor, and you constantly update people of Guam in reference to all the progress that's being made. And CCU and the people of Guam are very blessed to have two very capable leaders leading Guam Waterworks and Guam Power Authority. And so all of our dignitaries have been properly introduced. I'd just like to acknowledge the Lieutenant Governor and the Admiral and all the dignitaries here in the room. But before I hit the gavel and start this meeting, I would like to acknowledge the true powers behind the CCU, and that Ms. Lourdes Duenas and Auntie Sally Limtiaco and Ms. Michelle Berdaliu and Ms. Lourdes Sanchez and Liz, I don't see Liz here, but of course Liz Martinez. And so I will stay on script, and we will start the first initial meeting of the Consolidated Commission on Utilities. And I now call it to order and certify the presence of the current commissioners. And please stand when your name is called. Mr. Joseph T. Duenas. And Mr. Peter Roy Martinez. And you may be seated. And now I'd like to call the newly elected commissioners, Mr. Simon A. Sanchez, Mr. Francis E. Santos, and Mr. Michael T. Limchiaco. I have reviewed all your certificates from the Guam Election Commission and find them all in order, so that we may now proceed with the oath of office. And so I'm going to ask the three commissioners if you can please come forward, and I'd like for you to just stand in front and face the audience. And if you could raise your right hand, gentlemen, and please repeat after me. I solemnly swear in the presence of Almighty God that I will well and faithfully support the Constitution of the United States, the laws of the United States, and the laws of Guam, and that I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my duties as a member of the Consolidated Commission on Utilities. Congratulations, gentlemen. You're now So if I now you are going to sign your that's a relief. So you could sign your certificates and then you can feed back. And so it's now my honor and pleasure to open the floor for nominations for the position of Chairman of the Consolidated Commission on Utilities. And Mr. Sanchez, you are recognized.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I may beg the indulgence of my colleagues and this audience, and thank John Beneventi for shortening my remark quite a bit. This is the 11th CCU inauguration. I'm wondering, Chief Justice, did you swear us?
I've been on the bench for 22 years, going on 23, so I'm pretty sure.
I think you were in the room. I think you were in the room when it happened.
Yeah.
But yes, I wanted to recognize that the CCU as an institution has now been with us for 20 years. And it's an elected citizen board, which was very different. Before it was an appointed board and confirmed. But Speaker Mark Forbes and senators in the legislature wanted to try this experiment of a citizen board to provide governance and support to GPA and GWA management and their coworkers. And this experiment has attracted some very special people, dedicated people who wanted to serve the public. We sit in this building who is named after Gloria B. Nelson. We all know as an educator, but she also was willing to come here and try to help. We've also had past Chairman Joey Duenas, who's about to be renominated for chairman again, fool that he may be to take. Frank Shimazu, Vince Camacho, Eloy Hara, Pete Guerrero, Margaret Bloss, and Peter Roy Martinez. I think I got most of them. I may have forgotten a few. And then there's many others that have served in other offices, the legislature, who also chose to continue to serve. Former Senators Judy Guthertz, Benigno Palomo, Tom Atta, now former Senator Francis Santos, and former Senator Michael Limtiaco. The CCU represents ratepayers who are both owners and shareholders, and they are also the customers of these two entities, these two companies, as I call them. And sometimes there are competing interests that must be balanced, implementing public policy focusing on providing reliable service at the lowest cost possible, compliant with Guam and federal law. And we proved that we can operate and modernize our utilities with homegrown talent and without an outside receiver, unlike other government entities. John summarized well the progress of the two utilities, and I won't go there, other than to comment on, in 2008, we created the first renewable portfolio policy for Guam. Then Speaker Ben Pangilinan, then Governor Felix Camacho, and the CCU set on this plan to reduce our reliance on oil because of its tremendous cost that it brings to energy and other costs in our lives. And our goal was to be at 25% renewables by 2035. But thanks to the hard work and dedication of the professionals that work at GPA, we're going to hit that number in just a few short years, and we're going to double that number 5 years early. Government entity that is actually going to implement a plan ahead of schedule. And that's all due to the hard work and the leadership of the people we have asked to lead these entities and to produce these results. And we've been blessed with some people that I want to acknowledge. Ken Flores, who was there in 2008, and to be remiss, I rehearsed this yesterday. The most recent legislature just updated the portfolio to 100% renewable. And I haven't heard John Benavente say we can't reach that number. So, and as he's alluded to, when that Ukudu generator finally gets up there and it's finally turned on, power bills will go. But I want to think, as I think back, I've been fortunate enough to be here for 20 years. Think of Ken Flores that was at GPA when we started, Miguel Bradallo, excuse me, don't want to confuse him with the judge, Miguel Bradallo. I don't know which job is harder. And of course, utility manager emeritus, the Energizer bunny that never stops, John Benavente. And we've been supported by professionals like Melinda Moffness, John Cruz, Tom Cruise, Mark Miller, and now very proud of the fact that one of our key managers is now the mayor of Inaran, Tony Charcola. Tracy Limtiaco now has also joined the family, and so many others that if we took 15 votes, I could probably list them all, but we're not going to take. We've also managed to work together with the savings created by our employees to raise their pay over the last 20 years. They were at the 5th percentile 20 years ago. We were losing good people to other places. And yet, with the help of the Guam legislature and the governors, we were able to create a pay scale that has slowly raised their pay so we could retain their expertise and attract their professionalism. And they deserve to be rewarded. So we look forward to continuing all of this progress. This is the part that John's already repeated. But I wanted to acknowledge the success of a citizen board, an elected citizen board. And so I'll sit. Now, Your Honor, it's time to nominate our chairman. Plus or minus 37 years ago, something like that, Governor Ricky Bradallo appointed the first Public Utilities Commission, the rate-setting body that we must work with, the rate-setting body that the Congress required to place rate-setting into a separate citizen entity and away from the governor and the legislature, because GPA had defaulted on a loan, having challenges in providing service, and the thought was it was not the best place to allow rate setting to be done in the Guam legislature or by the governor. And so the PUC was created by the requirement of an act of Congress when they bailed out GPA. And the first PUC chairman was Joseph E. Duenas. And he worked with John Benavente's father and many other capable citizens, as well as a younger man who I guess Governor Bradallo still thought he was a Democrat, named Simon Sanchez. Joey has been on the CCU for 14 years, and as CCU chairman for the past 8 years. He has served the public for over 20 years on the PUC and CCU. And he has intimated that he is finishing his final term on the CCU. So when I spoke to his boss, Lulu, it's not a hint. I believe this is his final 2 years on the CCU. But I think it's extremely appropriate that Joey leave as he entered. And it is with great pleasure, affection, to nominate Joseph T. Duenas, Chairman of the 11th Consolidated.
Thank you, Simon, and thank you for that historical narrative. And Mr. Duenas, do you accept the nomination?
I accept the nomination.
And any other nominations from the floor?
Mr. Chairman, Chief Justice, I move that we close nominations for chairman.
Yeah, there is a motion to close the nominations. Any objection? None. There being no objection, the motions are closed. The nominations are closed. And so at this time, I'm going to ask by a show of hands, all those in favor for Mr. Joey T. Duenas to serve as the chairman of the CCU board, please raise your right hand. Okay, it is unanimous, and Mr. Joey T. Duenas. But before I relinquish the podium here and ask the chairman to resume the business, and I did this again 2 years ago, I'm remiss that I'm going to ask the newly elected commissioners to please come forward so that the spouses and the mother can properly put the lei on the newly elected members. Can you come back up here, please? I kind of skipped that part, and I'm reminded again. So we asked for Auntie Sally Limtiaco to put it on Mr. Michael Limtiaco. Thank you, gentlemen. You may now resume your seat. And so now it's time for me to relinquish the podium, and I turn it over to the chairman, who will take over the business of the meeting, Mr. Duenas.
The next job is the election of the, actually, I think it's the standing rules that we adopt first. Yeah. So the standing rules have been circulated among all the members. Could I have a motion to adopt the standing rules? Commissioner Santos, you're recognized. You move.
Except for standing rules.
Is there a second? Commissioner Martinez, you second. Any further discussion? None? All those in favor of the standing rules being adopted, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. We'll now proceed with the election of the chairpersons for vice chairman for the vice chairperson for the CCU. Commissioner Sanchez, you're recognized. Okay. Is there a second to that nomination? Second by Commissioner Pedro Martinez. Any further discussions? Any other nominations? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimous. Next, Commissioner Sanchez, you're recognized. Second, Commissioner Santos. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimous. Commissioner Sanchez. Second for that nomination? Second? Okay. No further discussion? On that motion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. And Commissioner Martinez, you're recognized.
No, I just said.
No. No, Commissioner Martinez, you're recognized for the,
That's half a day.
no, we have one more chair. Yeah.
Didn't read it. Didn't read it. I'm sorry, this is my.
Yeah. Okay, you're recognized.
Yes. I'd like to open now the nomination, the CCU Commissions Committee. I would like to nominate
For the Communications Committee.
yes.
Okay, is there a second? Second, Mr. Santos. Any further discussion? No further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimous. That's our agenda for today. Mr. Sanchez.
There being no further business, Mr. Chairman, I move that we recess to the call of the chairman.
Thank you very much. All those, no discussion? No discussion? So ordered. We're adjourned. Thank you. Recess.